Venture with Joe and Cody. My name is Joe Skipper. I'm owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty out of Oregon. I'm with my buddy Cody Wilhelm with Residential Mortgage. How are you, Cody?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Good. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for today. We're talking to my friend Jimmy Calderon with PNW, or Pacific Northwest Mobile Mechanic. Jimmy, you have a really cool story of kind of how you got to where you got, and it's a really interesting business. So I want to get into a lot of stuff. So I think what we'll do is we're just going to start off with like kind of your journey. I think your journey to where you are now and what you're doing now as a successful business owner is, I think, going to be a cool motivating thing and help people to see, hey, you got to hustle to make a business work, and you show that in your life and in your business. And I just think it's a cool story. So if you want to just get us started off, like, hey, where'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? And how did you get to the point that you're at now running a business today?
Sure. I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, South San Francisco and San Bruno primarily. That's where I went to school at. I knew at a very young age I was good with people. I come from I hate to say this, I come from a very long line of addicts. And with that being in the home a lot, you sort of sit back and watch people first. So when I was probably 7 or 8, I remember my family had a barbecue, and a bunch of people I never met before showed up, and they started playing a game called Gin Rummy. And one of the guys, Mike Gooch, was like, "Hey kid, just watch what I do." And then he started pointing out different things, like characteristics of people. I didn't know at the time everybody was on whatever they were on, or they were drunk or something, right? I didn't know. I'm 8 years old, but I never took for granted what that guy told me. And as the game got longer and longer and longer, he would start, "Hey, watch what I'm going to put this card down, and watch what this person does. Watch what this person does." And from that point on, for whatever reason, it instilled that in my brain. So when I started working, I just go back to that. If I could watch people and their mannerisms, it would make me a better, I don't know if you want to call it a salesperson or listener or service person, whatever it was. It took me a while to understand people in general. I always like to work hard. My grandfather instilled in me that if you treat people right and you genuinely bust your ass, so I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah, go for it, man.
You treat people right, you bust your ass, and you show up every day, good things tend to happen. And when I got my first opportunity in the automotive world, I was 17. I was still in high school. I played baseball, so I wanted a part-time gig just to try to supplement any kind of sports I would do. City Toyota gave me an opportunity to be a cashier, and I promise you, I hated that job. I never wanted to be in the automotive industry ever again. But it taught me a lot of, basic bookkeeping principles, how to be reactive to customers that come in that are irate that their cars aren't done, how to be a resolution in a situation that was maybe a little bit more hostile than it should have been. I don't know. I think taking the lessons from my grandfather and from that guy named Mike, it just sort of helped me build my character and what I'd like to do. I'll say this. I think I told you guys it before. I haven't had very many jobs. I worked at City Toyota till the end of high school. Then I started at Ceremony Ford, and Ray Wirtz and Rich Ogg were my bosses, and they started me off as a janitor, so that sucked. My first 3 days, I had a couple older ladies. They couldn't make it to the restroom, and they literally puked everywhere. And I was thinking, I'm still trying to pursue baseball at the time, so I'm trying to keep this summer job, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be here very long. And 3 days later, unfortunately for them, fortunately for me, one of the lot attendants got hurt. And I'm 17, almost 18 years old, and they're like, "Hey, Jimmy, I need you to start parking these cars."
Next man up.
And then sort of just build from there. During the summer, I worked 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And then about 3 months later, the other lot attendant, the 10 to 7 guy, quit. And for about 3 weeks, they were like, "Hey, can you just cover his shift? Will pay you overtime," whatever the case was. I didn't know what his duties were. So come to find out, right when he quit, there's a Firestone recall, and his job was to lace tires all day long. 290 tires a day, and you're bringing them dot code down every morning. Oh, I hated his job. But to try to incorporate, I want to make sure I'm a good worker for the company. and they'd never treated me wrong. So, and they're giving me, in my opinion anyway, they're giving me some kind of a chance to prove myself, right? Well, who gives an 18-year-old more responsibility? Not too many companies.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for 3 weeks, and after the third week, they said, hey, you're actually more efficient by yourself than when it was 2 people doing this job. Would you want to just do this open to close 6 days a week? We'll pay. They gave me a pretty good bonus structure, if you will, to compensate for overtime, and they started me on benefits right away. They allowed me to get into the union, and I sat down with my grandfather. Now, I didn't ever think of being in the automotive industry. I keep saying this. I wanted to play baseball. I thought I was good enough. I had a work ethic for it. I was in the gym 6 hours a day, 6 days a week back then, and I didn't let most things distract me. So part of when I sat down with my grandfather, he was a machinist forever. He said, hey, this is a good opportunity for you to learn something in case baseball doesn't work out. And at 18 years old, listen to these guys. They've been doing this for 40, 50 years now, and they're giving you, they could have given anybody in this company some chance to do something. They could have easily hired another guy, but they're, for whatever reason, they're trusting you to do this. Don't fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. But when I go talk to Rich Og and Ray Wirtz, part of my negotiation was, hey, if there's a tryout or I have a practice or a baseball game or something, that's my priority. And they did it for, I did that position for 16 months. And they gave me every opportunity to go out and try to pursue. Even when I got hurt, I couldn't move my right arm for about 3 months, and I would still just try to do everything I could left-handed, and I showed up on time and did what I had to do. And after I was 19 and a half, they sat me down and said, hey, they're the first people to realize, like, baseball's probably not going to be the way to go. And I didn't want to hear it. Who wants to hear your dreams over that early? So I was very stubborn. I actually took a week off. I took a week off in the most disrespectful way. I grew up in a very ghetto area, and watching my, what transpired in the household, I basically told him, fuck you, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't quit. I'll give you a week off vacation. Don't quit. Because I know you don't want to hear this shit, but you're 19 years old. Somebody's got to tell you, eventually you're going to have to give up something. We're giving you an opportunity here. Take a week. Let me know what you think. And I took the week, and quite honestly, I wasn't quite old enough to drink, but I knew enough people that did, so I went and got fucked up for a week and sat down on that Sunday with my grandfather again and was like, hey, they're trying to make me give up baseball. I mean, they're basically making me give up who I am. I could just quit now and just go back to school. I'm only 19 years old. My grandfather again was like, Jimmy, you're 19 years old. Somebody's going to tell you eventually you're not good enough to do something. You better start hearing it now, At least they're not telling you to quit all the way. They're just telling you, hey, we need you here more. And the longer you're there, the more opportunity you might have. And when I came back, I sat him down and said, hey, okay, I'm taking off 2 or 3 times a week early. I won't do that anymore. I'll just focus on that on Saturdays and Sundays. And the moment I did that, they both sat me down. They said, hey, okay, we're not going to have you work today. Here's a pair of slacks. Here's a button-up shirt with the Ford logo on it. Tomorrow, come in. And I used to have a bunch of ear piercings. My tongue was pierced. Had an eyebrow piercing. Typical 2002 kid. They said, if you can come in tomorrow well-groomed, because I used to have my beard down to here, do your hair tomorrow, no hat. Take a bunch of your earrings out. I don't care if you have just, I still have the 2 earrings right here, but come in well-groomed. And I want to give you guys, I want to give you an opportunity. I think you might not quite be ready for, but at least I want you to know we're thinking of your future, not just trying to shut what you think you should be doing. And that, I think I needed to hear that. The next day I came in, they had me barbecue for the entire corporation. When I mean entire, I don't mean just our facility. They had every bigwig from across the nation there. There was 700 people, and they'd rented a big old barbecue pit, and I was in charge of that to talk to people and just basically what you guys are doing now. Just talk to people and introduce myself and who I am and why am I here and build a rapport with people. And I'll never forget that. That was their way of showing, hey, we see what you're doing. You're not just parking cars. You're actually talking to the customers. You're making them feel welcome before they even see the service advisors. And sometimes the lines got long and you got them to calm down because of who you are. And that was pretty cool to hear. And, they put me in an apprenticeship program. I am a good mechanic, I'll say, but I am the slowest mechanic you've ever met ever in the history of mechanics. I promise. I never have beaten book time a day in my life. But you know, when I'm done with your car, it's done.
Yeah.
I will say that. I haven't had very many comebacks, but I could never beat book time. If I was a flat rate tech, I would have never made money. I promise. I promise.
You're donating your time.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And when they put me in the apprenticeship program, I had to find another job because it took away my overtime. I went from working 7 to 7, 6 days a week to 7 to 4 again, with $4 less pay to become an apprentice. So I had to go get another job, but I was always grateful for the opportunity. And one day I was 2 years into the program, so I'm 21 now. A gentleman came up to me, and I don't know if this guy was testing me or just trying to purposely annoy me or what, but I was doing a service on his car, and he's standing at my bay, and we have our chains up, but he kept trying to go around the chain and under the chain. I'm like, hey, the more you bug me, the less I work on your car. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you, but if you want this done right, leave me the hell alone. And he kept asking questions, and I would sit there and answer them, but I was like, basically I wanted to be like, get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. Like, you're driving me goddamn nuts. And it turns out he was testing me. He was from what they call the Bureau of Automotive Repair in the state of California. And my boss had hired him to see how I would react in situations of a tense customer, because they knew I wasn't efficient as a tech. They wanted to move me into the office to become a service advisor. And they had the opportunity as that dealership to open up what they call quick lane. So Ford has quick lube service, and it's their way to get old customers to come back with a fast service for a cheap cost. 21 years old, my bosses sat me down, said, hey, you did great. They introduced me to the guy, and he said, hey, I tried every which way to jab at you, to tell you didn't know what the hell you were doing, to trying to get into your stall, and you never once were like rude to me, disrespectful, condescending. You sat there, you taught me, even though it took you forever now to do the job, even though you were taking forever already, you never once put an attitude out there that you were pissed off at me. And I can appreciate that. And I think your boss's idea of what he wants to do next with you is right. And that day they sat down, I signed a contract, and they gave me $1 million to open up Quick Lane. And in the contract, it said bold letters, you cannot fail. And I took that as, fuck, if I fail, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah.
And I failed miserably. I didn't just fail. I spent $1 million in 3 months, had this, grand opening, and I had 11 customers total in one.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was horrible. But, so I'm thinking, shit, I'm going to get fired for this. Like, who spends $1 million this quickly? And it turns out that you cannot fail meant we won't let you fail. We did this. Obviously, it didn't work out. Here's how we would have done it. And then they took me step by step on how to get customers in and what mailers do and how to build a rapport and what cold calling should sound like. And, I tell you, I've been pretty blessed. I do agree with the saying, work hard pays off. I think because I had put in all the hours and time, and I suck at lying. You can ask anybody I've ever lied to or tried to lie to. I'm not good at it. So I was always just fortunate enough to not have to be in the situation to lie. And I think that helped me a lot because my bosses at the time, and I still sometimes pick their brain now. I know they're all retired, but they were the first ones to ever give me a shot to do anything. And if it wasn't for them and my grandfather sitting me down and saying, hey, you have a good thing on your hands, and guess what? Cars will never go away. You'll always be busy if you stay busy.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
man, that's like, you've got such I don't know. It's a cool story. I knew your background a little bit, but now you've explained even more. It's like, yeah, and there's just so many examples of so many things of like, and not just like to artificially prop you up, but like, not only did you work hard, you had mentors that were there to like, that wanted your success, like everything, even though it maybe didn't look like it was falling in place. But I do think the core of that is you working hard. Like, you have an attitude and a mentality that you don't deserve anything. And that, I think, is a good quality. And especially someone who either, works their way into business and succeeds in a business, is that you're not given anything, like nothing. You have to earn it all. And it's awesome to have the mentors, and it's awesome to have those people that come luckily into your life as you're working hard, but it's not, it's not because you just sat back and waited, you hustled even at 18. Like, I know at 18 I don't even know what I was doing. Like, I definitely wasn't working that hard. And so it's just a crazy, like, it's just a cool story, I think, for people to see. Like, Cody and I have talked about this a little bit. Is like, everyone sees the result of where you're at. You know, they see you at point X, you know, and they never saw how you got to there, and they don't see how hard it is and the struggles it is and the struggles it currently is. You know, they're like, oh, they can do it, why can't I? You know, well, start working. Like, you can do it, you just gotta work. So,
and to back that up, like you said, you have to be consistently working hard. I have some other friends that own businesses as well, and I'm not trying to shit on them at all. They actually do very good work, but sometimes when you give up 2 or 3 days of working hard to go party or whatever you want to do, and then you come back and sort of leisurely get back into it, it's going to take you a while. And I don't think people understand that. If you just stay hustling for a good chunk of your time and build now while you can, I'm not exactly old, but I'm not exactly young anymore either. At 40 years old, I need to remember, keep going. Because hopefully in 10 years, I don't have to, and I'll have some people that just keep going for me, and I can sort of sit back and guide them.
Absolutely.
Like I was guided, right? So, you know, I think you're right. Hard work pays off. I've also been very fortunate enough, like you said, I have people that have come into my life, and I was smart enough to shut the hell up and listen to. There's been times where I did not want to hear certain things in my life. I tell you that.
For sure.
I left home, I don't know if I was 13 or 14 years old. And don't get me wrong, I love my mom. She and I are really close friends now. We have a really good relationship, but we are one and the same. And she taught me to always be open about what I'm thinking about, never be afraid to speak my mind, and stand up firm for what I believe in. Except she's the exact same way, and we're both stubborn-headed. So at 13 or 14, I forget how old I was, we had a very big misunderstanding. Like I said, I come from a line of addicts, and she had gotten into a shouting match with her boyfriend, and I didn't quite care for her boyfriend anyway. I grew up, my dad is, I don't think he's gang member, but he grew up that way. He might still be a gang member, I don't know. But I was also taught, I mean, don't back down from anybody. If I get in a fight, I might not win every fight, and I haven't won every fight, but you're going to know I hit you. And I was in my room. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in South San Francisco, my sister, my mom, her boyfriend, and myself. It's a very small space, and it looked from my vantage point like he pushed her, and I went off. And my mom was like, what are you doing? You know, like, we sort of started yelling at each other, and I just, at that point, I couldn't, you know what, I'm old enough where I know how to hustle. I've watched from a very young age. I started selling weed very young. I started selling weed when I was 12. I know how to make money. I'll just go about life doing that way. But if like you said, if it wasn't for certain people in my life being like, hey, you're going to get in some trouble, stop. I have to also listen, right?
Yeah.
Part of everything where I grew up, a lot of it is, let's get out of here. I don't want to live in this shithole forever. I don't want to live this way the rest of my life. And I'll be damned if my kids are going to grow up how I grew up. And it's not like I had a bad childhood. My mom's side of the family, we're probably some of the closest knit people you'll ever get in contact with. And if you ever came to one of our barbecues or family gatherings, you're just one of us. We don't consider you a friend or an outsider. You're a family. And people still to this day that I know, I have a saying, if you're in my circle, I will do whatever it takes for you to be okay. And that's just how I grew up. That's how my mom's side of the family was. But there does come a point where, like I said, my mom and I sort of, even to this day, we sort of butt heads on certain things. And I just had to get the hell out of there. And luckily, at the same time, my best friend's name is John, and his dad had just won custody of him and his sister. So I went to a birthday party, and Big John, that's the guy that basically raised me, was like, hey, how's home life? And he knew I was couch surfing and staying at my grandparents, staying at my friends' houses, doing whatever I was doing. And he's like, I said, oh, life is good. I'm still, playing sports. I got pretty good grades. My reason for getting good grades was to stay out of the limelight for what I was actually doing. I was selling weed. I was not going home on time. I was definitely not listening to my parents. I was basically going down the wrong path. And he knew that. So he was like, hey, we have a shed in our backyard. If you help me, we can turn that into an actual room, and you and John can share that room. And I stayed in that room until first year of college.
Wow.
I was pretty fortunate. Like you guys have said, I've been very blessed with good people in my life at the right time.
Yeah, that seems to have helped you
I
out.
haven't been in trouble. I have been in trouble. I've been to jail before. I could not get the chip off my shoulder that if you're going to fight, you're going to fight. And back then in the old days, I didn't care if you looked at me funny. I would go the wrong direction at you. And it took me a while. It took me my second time getting in trouble, or maybe it was my third time. An old timer came up to me while I was in, and he said, "Hey, you can sit down here and you can literally talk to fucking anybody you want to. It doesn't matter the clique, colors, you know, in jail, people, it's segregated. In jail, there's whites with whites, there's blacks with blacks, Latinos with Latinos, and I can talk to anybody." And he pushed me up against the wall. And for the first time in my life, I was actually like, holy shit, I can't get away from this guy. He was a big dude. And I'm like, and I'm not a small man. I'm 5'10", I'm 270 as we sit. I'm probably way overweight, but you're not pushing me most of the time. And he had me firmly pressed on this wall. And he said, "Hey, if I ever see you in here again, me and you are going to fight. And I promise you, you're not going to like how I beat your ass." And he didn't say how we're going to fight. He said, "I promise you, you're not going to like how I beat your ass." And that was the last time. That's the last time I needed to hear something like that. He said, "Take everything you're doing, all your anger, all your frustration, everything you got pent up inside you. You talk to people in here like they're family. Do that on the good side, on the right side of things. Why are you slinging these drugs for? Why are you pretending you're a badass? Why are you here with me? I actually robbed folks. I was actually in trouble. You're out here being a fucking idiot. Take that, take what you know, go learn a couple tricks of the trade, go learn from some of the old timers that have been doing this a long time, buckle down, show up, get your ass out there and do it legit. And I promise you, it'll work out for how you want it to work out."
Was that kind of the switch? Was that like
I think that was the first person to ever scare me.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to be like, "Oh my God, he's going to kick my ass." He probably would have, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the first person to scare me, to be like, this guy's 65 years old still in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 24. What am I doing? Like, he's right. I've been given every opportunity. If I was good at anything back then, I was good at fucking a lot of good things up. So why am I still doing it? You know, when I got out, my grandfather and I sat down and he said, "Hey, Jimmy, you've been trying this baseball thing for a long time. You've been trying all this side stuff. We see you. We know you're going to do what you're going to do. But maybe there's a time in your life you have to grow the fuck up." And I've never wanted to be the one to tell you this. You're not going anywhere in baseball anymore, buddy. You're 24. You're battling kids 18, 19 years old that are bigger, stronger, faster. You have a good thing on your hands.
Yeah.
They're helping you. Take the help. And from that point on, that was my switch. Like, that was, let's go, you know?
That's crazy. That's cool.
Good for you for listening, though. Like, it's a tough thing I know a lot of us have had moments, maybe not quite like what you're talking about, but those moments where it can be very easy to not listen to those people because it's not what you want to hear, but to actually take it in and change the path that you're going down, like that says a lot.
I thank you. It's different to hear that way. I mean, even after that, it still took a lot of me having to change my ways, right? I mean, afterwards, I got a DUI after that. Ford kept me on, even though the union dropped me. It wasn't until they called me in, "Hey, do you want to work some overtime on a Saturday?" And I said, yeah. And I went and serviced right on the other side of the dealership for one of the guys that was out. And the union rep came down. So this is how I lost the job at Ford. The union rep came down and said, "What the hell are you still doing here?" And literally 20 minutes later, I'll never forget them, though. They gave me the severance package. They gave me every year of vacation I'd never taken. They'd given me all the sick time I'd never taken. They found me my next job. I worked at Redwood General Tire and Les Schwab at the same time, trying to learn how to do tires. I did take some of the words that they told me. "Hey, if you can do this, you're going to have to find your way back, but you know how to do this. Go learn how to do it right." And I learned every aspect that I possibly could. I went and started working on semi-trucks and medium-duty trucks, agricultural equipment, logging trucks, tires, and I tried to understand different aspects of what people were trying to teach me. And I think that has helped where I'm at now. I didn't stay with Redwood General or Les Schwab very long. It took me 11 months to understand I don't want to do tires the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I went to a company called Woodside Auto, and Matt Cafaro gave me a chance. And I was just brutally honest. "Hey, I've been in trouble before. At the time, I didn't even have a driver's license. I'm not insurable through your company." And he was just like, "Hey, I appreciate the honesty. Let's see how you work." And it was only supposed to be a 3-month contract to figure out what was going wrong with his company. And it turned out to be 6 years of probably one of the best places I've ever worked, honestly.
Oh, wow.
He sat me down, was a service writer assistant to start. Within 2 weeks, he had gotten rid of the main service advisor and promoted me to that. And then about 5 months later, he promoted me to manager. And we took that company from I think when I started, they were doing about $19,000 a week. And when I left, we were about $48,000 a week.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and it was really cool because he let me use everything I had learned and then sort of mentor and guide some of the younger people that we were bringing in. Like I said, I'm still not old now, but I was definitely not old then. And for him to listen to some 25-year-old, that was pretty cool. And he was much older than me. He was 30. I think he's only 35, so he's probably 10 years older than me at the time. And he was letting me come in and take the reins a little bit. And we used to do everything by hand in the old days.
Yeah.
And he was the first company that we bought a program to do everything in the computer. And, I didn't really know how to type, so I'm sort of hand pecking at things.
Get your pointer fingers out.
Yeah, really. He was probably one of the smartest mechanics I've ever worked with. And he actually gave a damn about his company. Even though it was a small mom and pop shop, we only had 4 mechanics. He gave everything into this company. He gave me an opportunity to go to some smog classes. I became a smog tech. I was on the desk and doing smogs with him. I ended up cleaning up my act for quite a good period of time there. I became what they call a counselor for what they call the CAP program in the state of California for the BAR to help assist people learning smog. And that was probably pretty cool venture for me because it taught me how to, 1, diagnose vehicles better, and 2, how to be patient. They call them stinger cars. They would purposely rig a vehicle to fail. And in the state of California, when you're teaching somebody how to do a smog, of course you want to teach them how every step of the way, but sometimes you get lazy, right? Let's be honest. I'm doing this a million times a day. Okay, well, this failed. Let's look at this. Instead of doing that, they taught me how to be patient with the students and really just, okay, we have to do this. Let's do this. Here's your next step. And that was pretty cool. But then, just like Jimmy being Jimmy, I know how to fuck a good thing up sometimes. I got another DUI. I was driving home. I didn't think I'd drinking that much. I blew a .082, so just over the limit. But because I had one 5 years prior, immediately triggered a second one. I didn't lose my job because of it, but Matt was very upset because we had plans at this time now. He was the first person to be like, hey, I think we should open a second location with you. And I'll run this one. We'll get one closer to where you live. And I think we can make something work where we're both making money. And he was the first person to even give me like an idea that, hey, maybe one day I want to open my own, But then the DUI came and it sucked. I spent 6 months in. It basically, I derailed my own career there. And it sucked because he was a good man. He's still a good man. I still pick his brain because he's one of the smartest mechanics I know. That sucked. From there, I moved up here, and we weren't supposed to move here. I don't know if you were listening when your camera was off.
Oh, I was on. I was on. I was listening to everything you guys said. So
it was the Jimmy and Cody show.
It was the Jimmy and Cody show before the podcast started. So yeah, I'm glad you guys got along and I heard the story.
Yeah. We weren't supposed to move to Oregon, so I'm pretty fortunate that we did, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
When we moved up here, put out resumes to Tyler's Automotive, Steve's Imports in Happy Valley, and McFarland's Mobile Mechanics. All of them offered me a job as soon as I went in there. But I shadowed at Steve's Imports and quickly learned that from the accountant to the receptionist to the first mechanic to the service writers to management was all family, all one of his kids. And nothing wrong with that. I think if you can work with family, by all means do it. But in my opinion, how am I ever going to move up? I don't want to be a service writer forever. No offense to service writers. I think they're great. I think it's a very essential portion of the job. But I think my assets to the team is bringing in business that aren't already coming to. I could be outside and drum up business easily. And there was no way for me to get there. I don't think ever. My other way of thinking too was if there's ever a discrepancy, I have all of this family versus me. I'm always going to be wrong. So I didn't end up taking the job. They offered me really good pay, $82,000 to start plus a 0.5% bonus. I just don't know that was going to be a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Tyler's Automotive offered me a job, very low pay. I don't know if they ever even got somebody to fill the position, but they wanted somebody to manage all 3 of their locations. They have one here in Wilsonville, they have one in Tigard, and they have one in Newburgh. And I think they do great work. Don't get me wrong. For the amount of pay I was used to in California versus hearing this tiny 2-digit number, tiny to me 2-digit number, I turned it down. I didn't know that was good pay here because I didn't know that's what it took to live here.
Yeah, it's all relative to what area you're in.
When I went to my buddy's house and I was telling him, he's like, dude, you should have taken that job. Like, $50,000 is good money. Where? Like, but of course, in the Bay Area, $50,000
is nothing.
is 1 month rent sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, so. And McFarland's Mobile, I had never done mobile before, and I knew this company was struggling. They needed a face. I'd met their service advisor that was on the counter, and he was a good kid, don't get me wrong, but I think being where I'm from, the hustle portion of my mentality, it'll drive the people that don't like to hustle out.
Yeah.
And this company had 9 mechanics. Their biggest week ever was $13,000, which means they're losing money with 9 guys. How do I turn this company around? So it was a huge challenge for me. And Kevin McFarland, he's a good dude, gave me a chance to come in and see what we could do. And I spent my last, from June 12th of 14 to July 24th of last year with them. So I wish them all the best of luck. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's my turn to see what I can do for myself instead of putting in all the hours for somebody else.
For sure. It's unique to me because I obviously not being in the mechanic world. Like, what did you see with the mobile mechanic versus a traditional brick and mortar? Is it purely cost, or do you see a benefit that goes beyond that to you?
I think to me, it's if I'm coming to work on your guys' vehicles, you guys get to sort of relax a little bit. You don't have to worry about taking it somewhere or towing it, and that's not to say sometimes it still doesn't happen, but you guys now have the luxury of us coming to you, and we're a shop on wheels, so we can handle any job. I will say this: I don't do side of the road work, meaning I won't come work on your vehicle on the highway. We used to do that with McFarland's. A couple of my guys almost got ran over. Yeah. It's just not worth it to me to endanger my guys' lives. Yep. But if you're at work or home and you're stressed out, I mean, who wants to come out to a car that doesn't start? Yeah. Right? Immediately is like, God. And now panic strikes in and we got to tow it, or somebody can't even get me in soon enough. Or, well, that's where we come in. You know, I don't want to step on anybody's toes and take business from everybody. That's not what I'm here for. At the same token, though, I think we offer a repair and maintenance service that most others can't. And a brick and mortar, unfortunately, one day will be gone.
You think is where your market is going to be, you know, with the mechanic type of thing? You know, it sounds stupid. This sounds dumb to say, but it is funny because to have a traditional brick and mortar, something's wrong with your car if you're going to a mechanic, and you may not get to the car there. Like, so, you know, as a convenience, like you were saying, not only just for a convenience in general, but a convenience if your car breaks down, how are you getting there? Are you going to have to tow it? You're going to have to, you know, so I think that mobile thing is there, or at least from a consumer standpoint, it seems like it's a logical place to go with the mechanic field. Are you seeing that trend, or is it still kind of that more traditional brick and mortar and there's just a few guys popping out to the mobile stuff?
I'd say we'd all be fools to not think of in the next 5 to 10 years that more companies will be primarily mobile. Even Ford now has a mobile service. Jubitz, FMI for Isuzu's, Jackson Group for Peterbilt's, they've all incorporated mobile now. That's not to say brick and mortar will never go away. I know you were listening. My ultimate goal is to buy a brick and mortar. I want a storefront where people still feel comfortable to come in and know that we're going to take care of you. I want to be involved into a community. That the downfall of mobile, not having a brick and mortar, until I plant roots somewhere, I cannot personally get involved in one community or another, because I don't want any of the rest of the communities to be left out. Or I'll just be honest, I don't have the money to get into every single community we service, right? So I do want to plant roots somewhere. And I think if we do it right, and I stress doing it right, I don't mean fixing every car 100% right. I mean taking care of people properly. I think if we did that correctly, I could have a brick and mortar where people are comfortable to come in, and I can keep my mobile guys busy. A lot of mechanics don't like dealing with the public. That's why we're mechanics. I don't want to talk to people. I just want to wrench. and I have one of those on my team. Alberto is a great guy, and he does my mobile sometimes when we need him to. But he's primarily at the place we're doing business out of, working on the cars, not having to talk to anybody. He's by himself, and he loves it. So if I can get him comfortable into a shop, and he can take care of the customers that come in, have somebody on the desk, whether it's myself or probably somebody better looking than me that talks better to customers, and they take care of that, I think that would work beautifully. The hard part is because the trend is everybody's doing mobile. Since I've opened, there's been 200 other companies that have opened. Not all of them are succeeding, obviously, but there's quite a bit that is trying to come out and do mobile.
Probably sounds like it's an it's an easier entry into that, right? Not necessarily skill based, but money, or is it not?
I don't think so. I think it's go work for somebody in a brick and mortar. Here's why.
But to start your own company, would it be easier in the mobile side, or would it be? or brick and mortar.
I've never started brick and mortar, so I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I think maybe this is just me tooting my horn. I think I can open either one and be successful.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for a mechanic that sees other mobile companies doing well to think, oh, I could go do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is, again, mechanics like to be a mechanic. Along with mobile, though, I have to go talk to people. If I had a camera that would swivel, you could see my office is my house right now, but I have a filing system here, a filing system here. I have boxes of paperwork. I have invoices to still input, and I have a QuickBooks system up at all times.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't think people understand that that's what it takes to start mobile.
Yep.
Because in a brick and mortar, it's just right here.
Yeah.
Mobile, now I have to have handwritten invoices again, and then I have to translate those into something while still ordering parts, while still building a calendar, while still hiring guys, figuring out workman's comp, payroll,
For sure.
all of it in multiple places. Maybe that just answered the question. I think maybe a brick and mortar might have been easier to open.
I feel like I'm ending this mobile thing.
Well, it's kind of like what Joe and I were talking about yesterday on our Wednesday show. It was like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's behind the scenes that just does not get seen by most people. It's like, oh, like that's got to be awesome. You run your own mobile mechanic shop. I bet that's really cool. And, you know, it's nice that you get to go and they see that part of it. Yeah. But they don't see all of the work that it takes behind the scenes just to get, you know, just to make sure that you're not going to be screwing yourself up on your taxes and all your bookkeeping and all this while also doing everything else. But it's a lot that goes into it.
If I showed you the amount of paperwork I'm about to take to my accountant, you would be like, is that 1 year? And it's literally 1 month. I'm fortunate enough. I will say I have been fortunate enough because I worked at a mobile company. I learned how to do mobile. It's a whole different animal when I first moved here, only being in the brick and mortar and thinking Oregon and Portland Metro is so small, not knowing the area.
Yeah.
You would be surprised how many Oregonians don't know what Oregon is. It's one big oval in the Portland Metro to Salem Metro.
Yeah.
You can get to anywhere from anywhere, but it takes time. And
for sure,
when you hire somebody on, you're like, hey, we got to go out to Sandy. Where's Sandy? Wait a second. Aren't you from Oregon?
Yeah.
You know, like, you should know where Sandy is. Oh, I've never been outside of Woodburn. What? So mobile is a different game. I love it just because every day is a new challenge. And every day I get to meet somebody new. I think I like that part the most. I get to meet new people every day with new attitudes and new challenges for us. And I've been very fortunate with the people I've been able to hire. And I mean, mechanic world, it's a lot of turnover, right? I mean, if you go to any brick and mortar, I guarantee you they're going to tell you, fuck, I can't keep a good mechanic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing I really hope, if anybody listens to me on this podcast, owners that have employees, the one thing my grandparents instilled with me the most, even Ray Wirtz, Rich Ogg, Matt Cafaro, every good boss I've had. And I'm not saying Kevin wasn't a good boss. I am saying that these are the people that I value the most out of my career. If you treat people right, and I'm not saying you have to pay them $1 million either. If you genuinely sit down in these interviews and you ask them what they're wanting, why not give it a shot? What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out. Okay, make a deal with these guys. You know, I've now hired 2 guys from McFarland's. There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
If you take care of your people, hopefully that translates to them taking care of your clients and customers, and then it just keeps a revolving circle going.
For sure.
And as long as you take care of your people and treat them right and treat them with respect, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in our industry, it's the same thing. And I think that's in real estate in particular, it's an easy entry system. A couple $1,000s, you can be a real estate agent. And so you see a lot of agents come in and a lot of agents leave. And and I think in general, to keep a business going in general, is exactly what you're saying, is you have to treat people not like a widget, not like a number, not like I need to get this. And if you treat them well, no matter what industry you're in, you will see that dedication. People want to know you, like you, and trust you no matter what they do. And if you can provide that to them, especially in the mechanic world, because like you said, not to go back to it, but mechanics want to be mechanics. They get in that field because it's same with contractors. They don't want to be a communication system to a client that needs this. Just tell me to go do this work, or tell me what you want me to do and I'll go do it. What the problem with that is, you get a reputation in our industry particularly, but mechanics, contractors are like, they never contacted me. It's the complaint is rarely about the work, or they use the work as the main excuse, but really it was how they were treated. Like they were ignored. They weren't talked to well. They didn't address the issue. They didn't know what they were talking about. And so that's, I think it's a great point that you bring up of any business is like, you have to treat your client like family or something close, because that will bring you more consistent, stronger business than you just kind of fishing out for numbers, you know, and
Yeah,
it just never, it just never works that way.
And
I don't know.
you can take care of your community. I love Wilsonville.
Yeah.
I'll be on record. You could quote me a million times.
Same here. Yeah.
I hope to never have to move out of this town.
Yeah.
The schools, my kids go to school a block away from where I live. And because of that, I've offered every parent at both schools 10% off if you call me.
That's great.
If I can help out in any kind of way, a lot of people get into business to become millionaires, rich. I want to buy all this stuff. I grew up very poor. I don't care for materialistic things. If I have to rent my house forever, so be it.
Yeah.
But if I can take care of people, that's what I want to do anyway. By nature, I like making sure people are okay. If I can do that with what I love to do, which is work on cars and take care of people, it goes hand in hand. I'll offer whatever I can.
And the success comes with that. Yeah. When people are focused, like you said, when you're focused on the monetary first and everything else comes next, you're either struggling the rest of your life and you're trying the rest of your life, or you're just not treating the business how it should be. But if you know, the hope and I think what generally does happen is if you treat the people right, you know, the success comes. And then people are like, what do you do? How did you do it? Well, I just was myself. I treated people properly, and that business comes in, and then their friends come in because they know you and they like you and they trust you. So anyways, man, that's a great story. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want you to give your pitch to people of what, you know, how they get a hold of you, where should they go, what sort of work does your company do, so that people that are listening to this can say, hey, I want to call Jimmy for XYZ. What do you do? You know, how do we contact you and how do we get a hold of you?
Sure. So the shop phone number is 503-855-4948. You can email us. It's P as in Papa, N as in November, W, mobile, MOBILE 22 @gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. I do have a Pacific Northwest mobile page. Or if you want to text message me, I don't really want to put my cell phone out there. But for those of you guys that have my cell phone or my Instagram, I respond on that as well. My phone is always on. You can contact us anytime. We are Monday through Saturday, and we legitimately work on everything. Motorhome, travel trailer, RV, farm equipment, semi-truck, medium-duty truck, lift gates, hydraulics, every regular passenger vehicle you can think of. We try to make sure we are just able to take care of everybody in any situation.
That's great.
I have 3 amazing young people that work for me. Leah, Alberto, and Anthony all are amazing to work with. They will treat you as if it was me working on your vehicle. They genuinely care about people, and they are very young and have a lot of energy and are really freaking good. I cannot stress that enough. They are really freaking good.
That's great, man. No, that's awesome.
What's your geographical coverage? Obviously, Wilsonville's home base, but like how far? Oregon only? You go into Washington at all?
We go up to as north as Richfield.
Okay.
And we go as south as Eugene.
Okay.
So any town in between those. We do go as far east as probably Fairview, and as far west right now as probably Banks. The ultimate goal in the long run, if I can build a shop here and get the mobile aspect 100% dialed in, I think ultimately I want to open a second location up in the Seattle area, and then if I can grow that, maybe one out in Bend, one in Medford, and then keep the Pacific Northwest taken care of. So I think that's the plan. But I want to make sure this is home base. This will always be my priority, number one. And I want to make sure everybody out here is taken care of. So
thank you again for being on. That's an awesome story. And I hope some people can see that and take some motivation of how to hustle through this and how to treat people and how to treat clients through a business. So thank you for being on. Hopefully,
can I get a couple shout outs?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I would not even have a logo if it wasn't for Natalie. She runs her own company called Where the Wild Things Are. She is amazing. She took my idea and literally transformed it to something I could never even dream of. I am very fond of this logo. It means so much to me. And another person that's helped me a lot along through the way is Nicole Clark. She has Dream Coast Media out of Lincoln City. They have promoted me more than probably anybody else has, and I could not be here without them. And last but not least, technically my ex-wife, but one of my best friends, Danica Calderon. She's probably one of the biggest supporters I've ever had. Yeah, we might have not been together, but it didn't matter. We are still family, and she supports me 100% in doing this, and has really made the transition to moving to my own business almost seamless, it seems like. So
that's awesome, man.
I can't be more thankful for those three.
That's great. Well, let them know they can come on the podcast and we can chat about it.
I was going to tell you guys afterwards. I do have some of their emails and everything for you guys.
So love to chat with them.
Business owners, so.
Perfect.
We'd love to.
Also, I have a housemate, Sammy Marquez. She has her own business as well. So
sweet. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, man. Until next time, hopefully we'll have you on another time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Really appreciate it, Jimmy.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.